Hi, this is Adam Paol Seagram for mydrawingtutorial.com. Today we're going to be painting a sunset over the ocean. For this painting we'll be using these colors: primary yellow, white, red, and blue. And we'll be mixing everything we need from these colors only. Today we'll be using these brushes. First of all, we'll start with our Purdy, that's the brand, wedge edge, bevel edge brush to establish our backgrounds and do our fine line work with the edge. We're going to have this on hand, this small fine detail sable brush for details or for small things we want to fix or repair. And we're using this little bit stiffer flat edge brush for some detail work towards the end. And we're using this fan edge brush, which is stiffer as well, for some detail work and some highlights. Okay, in preparing to paint a sunset over the ocean, we're going to first establish our horizon line where the sky and the ocean meet. I've measured up 5 inches up here out of a 16-inch canvas. I'm going to draw a very light line with a pencil, very soft, very light, just to have a clean line. The paint will eradicate that later. And I use household items often for making circle templates, and I have this little bit of plastic plate today. We're going to use that for the sunset. And it should be approximately center. I don't always like to measure things exact. Sometimes it's good. It doesn't matter. You can do that if you like. But in this case, we're going to just do it this way. It's about the halfway point. So, but make sure you keep your pencil straight so that you don't vary with the edge of the plate. So I'm just going to go straight down like this. There we have it. Perfect. Okay, and we'll begin by mixing our color for the sky, the ocean, and the sun. Just basic background colors to begin with. So, and I think we'd like a little orange in the sky, so we'll start with a dab of red. Put it right here. Wonderful palette. We're going to be using a lot of that, and a fair amount of yellow. Put that here. By the way, your palette will look like this very shortly. Don't worry about it, it's just the way it is, and it will always be that way. And we might use a hint of white on the side, have available. Okay, so got just a little bit of red in there. I'm going to take that into the yellow to make a wonderful orange. So it's a little darker than I'd like, so I'm going to put the white in there, soften it up. All right, it's looking good. And this will be our first coat. I think I'd like more yellow in there. It'll take 2 or 3 coats to get it just right. There we go. And our brushes. Brushes I'm using today for the background are this large. Once again, it's a painter's high-end called Purdy brush. Nice sable hairs. Has a very sharp wedge angle to it and a bevel, so it's great for large areas or great for line work. So we'll put that in the orange, and I'm going to start by going across the horizon line, following the line, again by just moving in a very calculated manner, following my line over to the sun like that, and take it up a bit so I can make nice square corners with this brush, with the tip of the brush. And the same thing over here from the very corner. I'm going to make a nice line, follow the line. You can draw with these brushes. That's why I like the flat edge, especially in big areas for defining them. Okay, and then we'll get a little more water and we'll work the color up into the sky. Sort of work it all up at once. Not going to worry too much about the edge of the sun right now, but I'll do a little bit of a line as I go. See, once again, that nice sharp edge is established by having a sharp edge brush. You can do so much by having the right brushes. A round brush wouldn't work so well. Drag it around. This is important to get your fundamental shapes down in the right place with a good line work, because you'll follow that all the way through the painting. You can become more casual later with your strokes. Right now, precision's a bit important. Okay, and then we'll break that up. It's already looking like a bit of a sunset. I got a little paint there, that's okay. We're going to be painting that out anyway. Okay, now we're going to fill in the rest of the sky. And just by pulling the brush back and forth and fill it in. Okay, now that the sky is filled in, we're going to move on to the sun. And I see there's a bit of yellow in there. I like it. My brush is in yellow, so I'm going to fill in a bit of the sun with yellow. I'm going to leave the top in the white zone for now, and I might add some of that. After that, we'll move on to the ocean. Okay, I just brushed across a little bit of watery yellow to give the sun some hue of color, but this is what happens if you don't let the sky dry first. I could have waited a couple more minutes. We'll come back and fix that in a bit. First of all, I'm going to finish the top of the sun with white. Add a little more white for distinction. Okay, I'm going to wash out this brush now so we get the yellows and the reds out of here. And I added a hint of red to the yellow orange that I used for the sky. And when I got to the sun, there was still some yellow left in my brush. So I added a bit of white to establish the highlight on top with a bit of a yellow wash on the bottom with a very thin paint. So, and we have a little error here we're going to fix later, but that's our basic background. While we're letting the top dry a bit for the background, we will begin the ocean. And moving on to we're going to put some blue in the ocean. Because the blue and the orange are contrasting colors. If you look at the color wheel, they're directly across from each other. And because of that, they establish a vibration when placed next to each other that gives a little bit of electric movement to the eye, for the eye to catch. So they're very good to use together. Contrasts always work well as opposing shades. So we'll begin by mixing some blue, and I'm going to turn my palette around so the blues on one side and the yellows and the reds on the other. We have cool colors and hot colors, and just the blue is very strong, so you don't need much, and the white is less, of course, so we'll use more of that. And I got my palette knife here, a little bit of blue, and take it right into the white. And we want just a basic blue for a basic background. We will enhance it a little bit more later. Some water, not too much, the blue, and we're going to start by sliding it across the bottom. Just cover the bottom, and if it gets a little bit of striation, that's good. It's going to be a very pretty sunset. Okay, and I'm going to leave a bit of white at the base of the sun, not worrying about that right now, because we're going to mix color into that. I'm going to pull some of the sky color down into the water. And I'm going to do this line again. Use the edge of the brush to establish our horizon line. And again, it's a little watery, so that's okay because we want it lighter in the distance in this case. And a little streaky, that's good. Same on the other side. Okay, and I'll let that just slide like that. It already looks like a sunset. And then we're going to let this dry for a few minutes. Before we dry the ocean with the blow dryer, I want to repair this little area because it will be underneath the sky, a finished sky, but we want to fix it now so that it doesn't show later. And I'm going to repair it and then we'll dry it along with the ocean. So get some color here. A little bit thicker paint. A little more yellow. With a hint of orange. There it is. So that will not be obvious later. There we go. I'll drop that in the water and we will dry what we have here. Alright, I'm going to clean my brush once again so that we can go back into the sky and give it more of a finished look now that everything's dry. This will set up a little more. Meanwhile, we'll do the sky and the ocean before we change our color again, but go back to blue. So washing out my brush, and we're going to go back into our original sky color again, which is a base of yellow with a hint of red. We need more yellow. Get a nice orange and put a little white in there, just a hint of white. And it doesn't matter what it looks like on the palette, it's going to come out fine on top. So we'll start up here. It has a little bit more red in it, and I like that. As a quick recap, here's what we just did. I added a little more red to the sky in my second coat with some yellow, and I drug it across with a stridation to give a bit of the sense of there's a sky, there's clouds, it's a sunset. It always becomes kind of vague and just kind of beautiful at that time of day. And then I went into the sun, added some more white. I will go do one more shot at the very end to enhance these things more, but for now, that's it. And we're going to wash our brush and move into the blue to finish the ocean. And I'm going to go back into the blues. This is dry, and we're still going to keep this white, and after we get the blue a little bit deeper, I'm going to start playing with this area and bring it up. I'm going to put on a second coat of the ocean with a bit richer hues, and there'll be some mixing of white in there as well, and we're just going to let the brush kind of tell us what to go with long horizontal strokes. Nice. You see, I'm letting the paint drag from the brush into the canvas to give those extra effects. Some more of that blue in there. It worked out really well. And that was just at one of those happy things that you let the brush do. Get a nice effect. Adding the deeper blue in. Okay, and same at the top. Now I'm adding in a little bit of ripple to the ocean. Just these long horizontal crisscross strokes, but keep them horizontal and crisscross. You get a bit of the wake that way. Putting a little bit more into the foreground because it's closer to you. You'll see more of that. If we wanted to get more complex, we could put dolphins jumping in front of the sunset. Okay. Now we'll go into the establishing some of the sky, the sun reflection into the ocean. Once again, washing the blue brush out. We'll switch, or we'll just switch to a yellow brush. Back into the yellows. Again, more white. We'll start out with white. We can add color to it. Get that line clean, first of all. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be blurry in that brilliant light of the sun. And we're going to let that set up and dry before putting yellow into it. Otherwise we're going to get green mud. So we want that to dry first. Okay, while the ocean is continuing to dry and set up, we will, kind of an oxymoron, from the ocean dry, we will do the third and final coat on the sky and the sun, and let this set up a little bit more, and then we'll come in and highlight it. Now I'm going to begin the sky for the final coat. With each coat, the sky and the backgrounds get richer and more fuller and more filled in, so one doesn't see necessarily the texture of the canvas or raw canvas but coming through. It gets just a much richer painting. Let's see what color that is. Okay, that's a little lighter. Let's put it at the bottom. Oh, nice. I mix it half mixed on the palette and half mixed on the canvas as I put it on. I apply it. That way you get these nice streaks. I've used the red, the yellow, and the white again. Mostly yellow, very little red, just a hint of red. I'm going to leave these streaks on this here at the bottom so we get this effect of a sunset, and more white. And oftentimes in a sunset you get very distant clouds, and so it's really hard to discern as to what is what, and that's how you want it. Now for the sun, make some pure white. Just a dab of yellow. We'll go across here. Oh, we got some red in there. Exciting. That happens. Okay, I'm going to pull it out. I don't want that much red in there. Could be nice though. Wash my brush. Too much red. So in mixing colors, particularly when they're so close tones, you have to be careful not to get your other colors mixed in, like that what just happened with the red. It could work out well, and you could play with that, but it's best to keep your colors as separate as you can, and that is one of the challenges of being a painter and using a palette. All right, I want to put some direct white on the top. A little bit of an edge there. When I take this off, I fold the brush and the rag, and I make an edge so I can lift anything that has gone over. Okay. Now we'll take some of this color into the ocean. Just a dab of water. Using the edge of the brush. And I'm going to pull just a hint of that blue back across the line. So we have some definition. And we'll take a bit of that blue, yellow, and just put hints of it here and there in the ocean. Okay, we're drawing this, and then we'll move on to the very last details. And I want to go back into my yellows. And I want to put little bits of the sky into the ocean. Okay, and this brush is a little bit not stiff enough, so I'm going to switch brushes. This brush is a little stiffer. There we go. These are the caps of the waves that the sunlight is catching, that the distant sun is catching. the wake on the surf. And the golden light of the sky is being reflected. You see how one last detail can change everything. Now, I want to detail the sun just a little bit as well with more white. I'm adding in these whites just to highlight the sun, make it a little more distinctive as the center of the painting. And I'm going to put some of it back into the ocean as well. Little white gaps here and there. Give it a little bit of mystical look and movement. So one little fun little thing you can do is to add, with just a couple of brush strokes, an element that gives the look that there are seagulls flying off in the distance. Take our deeper color, deeper blue again. Doesn't take much, just the slightest amount. And you want to make sure that they're just like a little wing, like boop, boop, like that. Sort of practice on the palette here to get the feel. Don't want too much paint in the brush. Just a little bit, okay. And just going to give it a little, get a little more water in my brush. They're moving, they're flying, there's movement. And we might balance it out by putting one over here, small, maybe two. That's good. So oftentimes, you may know this, but odd numbers are best when adding elements to paintings and design. And we have a sunset. One last detail I want to add, it's a little bit vague in here, so I want to put some pure white back in, so that there's a little bit of more crisp quality to it. Use the stiff brush again. Make sure it's somewhat wet. There we go. That's just bringing more of the sunlight into the ocean and making the painting look a little more distinctive. That area was a bit vague before, and now it has more of a distinction to it. So now, we'll put our signature on it and call it a painting. I hope you enjoyed this lesson today, and for more information on acrylic painting, be sure to sign up for our free newsletter at mydrawingtutorial/acrylic. Until next time, happy painting.